board meeting for Independent School District 834. Barb, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Board Chair Lehman is absent. Vice Chair Pelletier will be acting chair this evening. As for roll, Clerk O'Loughlin.
Here.
Treasurer Pearson.
Here.
Director Hefner.
Here.
Director Potacek.
Here.
Director Stivland.
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you. Can we please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We are now on to the district mission statement. I believe I gave that to Director Pearson, Potacek.
The mission of Stillwater Area Public Schools in partnership with students, family, and community is to develop curious individuals who are active and engaged leaders in an ever-changing world by challenging all students as they travel along their personalized learning pathways.
And board goals, Director Pearson, please.
Thank you. As board members, we are morally and legally responsible for an equitable and quality education for each and every student in our district. As board members, we ensure decisions are made in the interest of all students E21 and for future generations impacted by our actions. Our goals: to partner with administration to assure all students are provided equitable opportunities to reach their maximum potential, to participate in efforts that support student and community engagement, to direct district efforts to develop a balanced budget for 2017-18, and to exercise effective self-governance.
Thank you, Director Pearson. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I please have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, raise your hand and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. I will turn it over to Denise Pontrelli at this time.
Thank you. I'm going to share with you just a little bit this evening some details about school start times and the sale of Marine Elementary, and then also some other exciting things that have happened, and I see some of our staff here tonight. So first of all, for several years now, school districts across the state have been engaging in conversations about high school start times. Many school districts, including the majority of districts that are in our conference, have already made the change to high school start times due to reported positive impacts on students' physical and emotional mental health, particularly at the secondary level. Over the years, our own community members and parents have raised the issue when responding to surveys and in conversations with building and district leaders. We've been watching other districts, learning from their experiences, and reviewing data and the research over the past several years. The current school board has expressed interest in further exploring this topic and engaging in a conversation about start times with the community. As is usual, we know there will be benefits and challenges to a change in start times. As in any decision, if it were an easy win-win for everybody, it would be an easy decision to make. Ultimately, it's up to our board to consider the pros and cons and determine if this is a change that they'd wish to make going forward. Administration is not formally recommending a start time change at this time. Instead, we will work to share information, create scenarios for consideration, and gather feedback from our stakeholders. In the coming months, we'll provide information and resources to help the board in its decision-making, as well as provide opportunities for the community to weigh in with their thoughts. We're working to schedule a presentation from experts, researchers, and others who've made this decision in the past. We'll share more information about this with the board and public in the coming days. The Community Engagement Work Group will be meeting next week for the first time and planning additional opportunities for the community to weigh in and share their thoughts with us. It's important to note that we're all just exploring the topic at the moment. There are no formal recommendations, and as we learn more together, the board can decide at any time it's no longer interested in pursuing the topic. Should a decision be made, however, we think it's important to let our families know well in advance so that they can plan accordingly. Usually this is for purposes of daycare, so people can make plans. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the sale of Marine. As you're aware, we've been working with the City of Marine on St. Croix to negotiate a sale of Marine Elementary School. Since first approached by Marine officials this past spring, we've been very interested in working with them towards the sale of the building. As you know, under state law, the details of negotiations are confidential, as is our appraisal information, until after a sale is final. The board did review the appraisal information in a closed session and set parameters for negotiations based on the appraisal and what they felt is fair to our school district taxpayers. At this time, we negotiated with city officials, but their offer is significantly lower than the sale price established by the school board. We are in the process of listing the school publicly to open it up to other potential buyers. While we continue to be open to working with the city of Marine, our first priority has to be to our taxpayers of our school district to ensure we obtain fair compensation for the sale of the property. Some of the other items I'd like to share, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because we do have guest speakers here today to share with you about the Suburban East Conference, the music festival that we had. It was remarkable, and I know that some of you are there. But in addition, I know our principal, Rob Bach, is here to share information, and our teachers are here with us this evening. But I also wanted to comment that our own Don Bixper, who tapes our presentations here in our school board, he was with the Valley Access Channel, and they worked throughout the days together with our staff and our kids to be able to live stream and record the sessions. So on that Valley Access Channel, vac.org, you'll soon be able to look at that and find out, see them streaming and their competitions. And I'll let Dennis and others tell you a little bit more about that when they come forward. That's a pretty amazing experience if you haven't been there. Our teachers are remarkable, and our kids. I've also been accompanying our learning and innovation team to visit with our principals during their work around the world's best workforce. This has been a long process, but it's truly evidence that we're aligning our goals and our professional development and aligning to better improve our results for kids. And the principals have done an amazing job working with our leadership teams to focus on school improvement for each of their schools. I also attended the AMSD legislative session last Friday, as did Director Potachik and Director O'Loughlin. 2 presentations were given in the areas of the impact of cross-subsidies in special education and the automatic levy renewal. We'll send you the links for these, and Shelley, I think this is what you were telling me you didn't get is the link for those 2 presentations. I apologize. It hit me on the way over here today, Chris and I talked about, so we'll make sure that you have that. But it can be helpful for our community to share these presentations, and we'll put Stillwater information in for you. But the impact is really real, and so we'll get those to you. I couldn't figure out what link it was or what attachment we didn't have. Those are also available on the AMSD legislative portion of their website. 2 more things. Our Summer Success Program will provide opportunities for our students who may be struggling with dyslexia. Our staff has been trained in Norton Gillingham strategies and are ready to welcome more students who might not regularly receive extra support as in the past. A big thanks to Karen Lateral, Christy Wallace, and Eric Anderson for their efforts to coordinate this opportunity for our kids. Many of you know that in the past we've had the Summer Success Program over at Anderson, and we provide breakfast and lunch for our students during that time also. They will be welcoming new students to that group, so we're excited about that. And then finally, earlier this week, our superintendent's community advisory spent some time together digging into the concept of the portrait of the graduate, like many of you have. They also gave feedback on our start time and Brookview issues, and we received some helpful insights that we'll be bringing to you as we provide you more feedback from the community groups. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that information, Superintendent Pontrelli. All right, next up on the agenda tonight is introductory items, and first up is the student report. Ava, are you up
Yeah,
first? All right.
Good evening. My name is Avi Okanovich, and I will be giving an update about the sports and activities currently going on at the high school. Winter sports will be coming to an end in the next month or so. So tonight, the varsity boys and girls Nordic teams will be racing at the section tournament in Battle Creek Regional Park. Also tonight, the girls gymnastics team has a meet in Roseville. In preparation for the big night, the gymnastics girls wore all neon apparel to school. The wrestling team is also competing against Roseville, and they will be celebrating their senior night. Lastly, the boys swim and dive team has a meet tonight in Forest Lake. Looking ahead to the weekend, the girls hockey team will be competing for their first section game against Roseville on Saturday night. The boys and girls alpine ski teams claimed the section championship title. The state tournament will be held at Giants Ridge on Wednesday, February 14th. The one-act team also made it to the state tournament. This is the farthest the one-act team has gone in Stillwater history, and the tournament is currently underway. The event started at 4 this evening. Congratulations to all of these hardworking students who excel in their extracurricular endeavors while working hard in the classroom as semester 2 is well underway. 3 seniors student athletes from Stillwater Area High School signed with Division I or Division II colleges yesterday. Congratulations to athletes Molly Connors, Devontae Hatcher, and Olivia Knox. Lastly, the Stillwater Chevelles Winter Dance Line competition team will be hosting a youth dance line clinic for students in kindergarten through 6th grade. The clinic will take place on Saturday, February 24th from 10 to 2 at Stillwater High School. Clinic participants will perform at halftime of the boys' basketball game against Forest Lake on Tuesday, February 27th at 7 p.m. That is all for now. For more information, go to www.goponies.org.
Thank you. My name is Annabelle Gregg, and tonight I will be updating you on some of the happenings within the classes and halls of Stillwater Area High School. Second semester academics are in full swing. Our senior government class students are gaining knowledge on the Federalist Papers and working on engaging in local government and applying this knowledge to current events. You can look forward to seeing plenty of our senior class at upcoming board meetings for their engaging in local government project. Our Spanish 5 students are learning about climate change and working on their CSE skills in their second language, while also engaging in a local effort to bring better hygiene and medical services to Choco, Colombia. Our Stillwater Concert Choir is working on a piece called I Can Tell the World for our Black History Month celebration this upcoming Monday. Students at SAHS are looking forward to Blast Week next week, where Student Council will be highlighting diversity during the annual Be Loving and Sharing Together week. We are excited to host Kang Ving, a Hmong filmmaker and refugee, along with a Women in Politics panel, talent show, and much more. In addition, the Black Student Union will be using our Flex Time to host a question and answer panel. We are enthused to present our first ever Heritage Fashion Show, where students can share their culture with their peers during Flex Time. Our students and staff will be encouraged to dress up and spread the joy this week. Monday will be Pony Pride Day, Tuesday is Tourist Day, Wednesday is Valentine's Day, Thursday is Throwback Thursday, and Friday is Cultural/Patriotic Day. On Valentine's Day, our music department will be filling classrooms as they serenade students. Serenades are $5 and will be on sale in lunches next week. The long, cold months of February and March can be a drag for students at Stillwater, but Blast Week serves as a wonderful way to blend learning with fun in the middle of a very long season. I look forward to sharing results and takeaways from our week at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. All righty, next on our agenda tonight is district recognition, and how did I get so lucky as to be able to announce our district recognition for the Stillwater High School music programs. And is it Mr. Bach, are you presenting? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Board Chair Pelletier, Superintendent Pontrelli, and members of the board. It's my distinct privilege and pleasure to be here this evening and introduce some members of our Stillwater Area High School music faculty. On January 29th, Stillwater High School hosted the Suburban East Conference Music Festival. Music Festival was started 31 years ago, and really it's an opportunity, it's a day-long music festival where all of the member schools in our conference gather together at one site. They send their orchestras, choirs, and bands, their top performing groups in each of those areas, to one particular site where the kids have an opportunity to experience a nationally renowned clinician. In addition to that, they have the opportunity to listen to some of their neighboring schools, which is really important for programs that are first getting started out. You know, orchestra is relatively new on the scene for some schools that are not too far away from us. And it gives some of those programs an opportunity really to see what's musically possible when they have an opportunity to experience programs that are a little bit more established. like ours. In addition to that, it also gives students, some of the top performers in each ensemble, an opportunity to perform with other top performers from other schools, where the evening kind of culminates with a concert at night for essentially the all-conference performers, if you will. So each school selects some of its top performers from each of those ensembles to come together. So you have essentially an all-conference concert in band, one in orchestra, one in choir. And then the concert comes to a climax at the very end with My Country 'Tis of Thee, where all of the mass ensemble performs. And it's an amazing concert, and it's an amazing experience for our kids. And as a principal at a school, and I've been involved with the Suburban East Conference Music Festival for well over 10 years, so I've seen it up close and personal for a long time. I have an appreciation for some of the logistics that are associated with pulling that event off, besides just an appreciation for the music that takes place during the course of the day. And the logistics associated with pulling an event of that magnitude off for the host school are nothing short of staggering. And when I would be in contact with our activities department, Mr. Ricky Michael, and pick up the phone and talk with him in passing about, Ricky, how are we looking for SEC? What do you need from me? How are the plans coming? Give me an update on this. Give me an update on that. Ricky would constantly tell me, we're in great shape. Our music folks have got it. And really, all of the logistics associated with pulling that event off, a ton of them fell to our music staff. And what I would tell you again is that after having seen this event up close and personal for 10 years, I have never seen an event get pulled off as smoothly as the way it got pulled off at Stillwater Area High School. We looked very, very good to a number of our neighboring schools, and that's due to the hard work of the people that are here in the front row. So I'm going to ask them to come on up, give them an opportunity to introduce themselves to you, and bask in the praise, if you will. So come on up.
My name is Zach Sawyer. I'm the orchestra teacher at Stillwater High School, and I just wanted to thank you all for your support. It was a wonderful event, and we couldn't have done it without your support and without Ricky's support. And I also just want to mention that my colleague Kent Musser could not be here this evening, but he was also heavily involved. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angela Mitchell. I'm the choir director at the high school, and yeah, Ricky was fabulous. So we certainly did a lot, but Ricky deserves tons of praise for that too. And thank you, board members who introduced. That really made the performances so special, to have your willingness to be there, and that was helpful to us, just to know that there was someone there who is willing to take that on. So thank you for that.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Larson. I'm also a choir director at the high school, and I will just echo Angela's message of gratitude to you, for many of you board members, for being there and helping us with that day. You made it run so smoothly, and it was an honor to have you there. So thank you.
I'm Joel Bryan. It was my first time participating in that event since I was a student at another school in what used to be the conference that Stillwater was in, and so it was fun to see it from the other side. I want to say thank you to Rob for the way you introduced us at the beginning of the concert. I thought the story you told about singing with the St. Olaf choir as a student, and then hearing Miss Mitchell conduct the same piece was just touching, and a great way to kick off the event. And thank you also to particularly Shelley, who was in the band room with me and announcing. And last thing, that was actually my 35th birthday, and so it was a fun way to celebrate the day that day too. So.
I'll just echo thanks. We had a lovely day, and it was really due to Rob, Ricky, and this wonderful staff here that put together all the details, because it really works because these people know what to do and know how to do their job extremely well. The thought behind the SEC, as I understand it, because I manage the website that this thing has, the original purpose, when we look back on it, was to allow all boats to float higher. So we're really proud of our conference, because over the years we've seen these various different schools raise their quality of their instruction, and watching them grow orchestra programs and wonderful choir programs. It really is getting to be quite a wonderful and elite conference to be a part of. So thank you again for your support. Thank you to this wonderful staff for everything that they do.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any comment or question for the group? Director Pearson.
Well, I would just say the day was amazing. The concert at night, you guys was so incredible. The clinicians you brought in, the energy of the night was so great, and I can't say enough good about the work that you do. And something, just a side note, that I appreciate about you as a group is when I looked at the back of the program, you're so careful to thank everybody who has helped, whether it's a custodian or the students that are helping or whoever it is. So I really appreciate that about you and the work that you do in our district.
George.
Last year I was over at Roseville and watched the choir, and the clinician, when you sang "I Carry Your Heart," was just stunned. And then later he announced that it was a student of his who had put the piece together. This year, the clinician, and I'm going to try to pronounce his name correctly. I hope one of you know. It's Tesfa Wandimagniu.
Oh, nice.
He's over. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or close? He heard Stillwater sing, and I copied down the first four things he said. Wow, wow, breathtaking, captivating. And he was as stunned as the guy from Luther was last year. And he ended by, I thought was a great comment for the choir kids. You were on the cusp of artistry. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, you know, you don't want to have already artistry when you're just in high school. You want to be on the cusp. And that's where you've gotten our kids, whether it's band or choir or orchestra. I will just second what Shelley said. It was fantastic. The work that you do day in and day out is very good. Thank you.
I have one thing too. Sorry. I just want to say thank you so much. I can't tell you how disappointed I was to miss this because I was out of town. This is a huge deal and very special. I was at the event last year, and yes, I mean, you can't help but just be bawling at the end of that America the Beautiful at the end of the day. Thank you for what you do for our kids. These are experiences like this one that our students will carry for the rest of their lives. You know, they'll remember that day. And I just want to say that we're so fortunate to have such incredible talent working with our kids all the time. And thank you so much for the devotion that you have to making music wonderful in our school system. So thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Ava.
I play in the band, I play the trumpet, and it was the greatest opportunity to be able to be in this event because it was just so cool to see all these other music programs from different schools, and it was the coolest day. I will remember it for a very long time. And my favorite part, besides performing, was I was walking down the hallway and I heard someone from, well, they had a Roseville sweatshirt on, and they were like humming the melody of one of our pieces. Mm-hmm. So it was cool just to share music with each other, and it was a fantastic day. Yeah, it's cool.
Anyone? Well, I'm marginally happy that I'm not the first crier in this moment. I am going to keep it together, maybe. I'd like to echo all the words, and I won't go any further than that, but I'll tell you one thing. I also had the privilege of announcing that day, and I met the director from Roseville and for orchestra, and I said, wow, you've just got some swagger up there, and, you know, I mean, she's just fabulous. And she said, oh, you know, who are you with? And I said, well, you know, the pride of Stillwater, but, you know, but we love you too. And she said, well, you guys are the gold standard. You're the one we always look to try to beat. And she meant it in the most positive, congenial way. And I thought, to your point, it's, you are a pride of this district, without a shadow of a doubt, every last one of you. So thank you for everything you do for our kids. Thank you so much. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Okay.
If I can just add one last piece in closing, the group here is very gracious tonight, but I also absolutely need to acknowledge the efforts of Mr. Michael, our activities director. Jackie Delahunt and Amy Nielsen in the activities office. They really came up aces on a day that, again, requires all hands on deck, and everything from organizing a supervision schedule to making sure that your whole staff is ready to pitch in and help out with all of the people that are coming to visit your school, which is a foreign building to them on that particular day. Their efforts were truly above and beyond on that day. So I want to publicly acknowledge them too.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. All righty, so item 8 on tonight's agenda is open forum. Before we head into that, I'm going to just read a message here. If you wish to speak to the school board, you will be able to do so at the start of the school board meeting during open forum. You may sign in only for yourself, not other individuals or groups, and only in person. The sign-in sheet's made available 30 minutes prior and to the start of the meeting. Due to time limitations, we will limit the number of speakers to 12. If you spoke at the last meeting, please consider allowing others to sign in before you. After you address the board, please leave the podium. Stillwater Area School District welcomes input from citizens as community involvement fosters better decision-making and improved learning experiences for all students. While comments and questions are welcome during open forum, law prohibits the board from discussing concerns about individual employees or students in a public meeting. We will stop the proceedings immediately if employee or student privacy issues are raised and direct the speaker to forward comments regarding individual employees or students to the superintendent. Because we are modeling civil discourse for our community, speakers must present their testimony in a respectful manner. Vulgarity, character attacks, malice, or specific complaints identifying staff or students by name or implication will not be permitted. The board will not deliberate, discuss, or engage in conversation with speakers during open forum. However, the board may ask administration to review the concerns presented. So with that said, our first speaker tonight is Sarah Letourneau. Please, speaking on the topic of dyslexia, please approach the board. Thank you.
Before I get started, I just want to say thank you for crying already. This is the first time I'm publicly telling my daughter's story, and I was wondering if I'd be able to make it through, so appreciate that. Again, my name is Sarah Letourneau, and I'm here tonight to talk about a learning issue that is very near to me. I'm going to talk a bit about what dyslexia is, what dyslexia is not, and a bit of our family story. And my daughter, I'm going to read this because my daughter did edit it and has been very clear about what I can and cannot say. In 2015, the state of Minnesota put the following definition of dyslexia into statute. Dyslexia means a specific learning disability that is neurological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with acute or fluent recognition of words and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Dyslexia is common. 1 in 5 children are affected by some form of dyslexia. Dyslexia impacts learning in all classrooms, not just reading. Math, science, history, foreign language, all of them. Dyslexia is a lifelong condition. We can remediate dyslexia, but we cannot fix it. Dyslexia is a diagnosis of privilege, and I'll talk about that in a bit. What dyslexia is not. It is not a vision issue. Dyslexia is not flipping letters or reading backwards. Dyslexia is not an intelligence issue, and dyslexic kids are not lazy and should not be told they need to try harder. When my oldest daughter was in elementary school, we could see she was struggling with reading. She was placed in Read With Me, although she was placed in Read With Me starting in 2nd grade. Her struggles continued, and we could see that she was frustrated and school was really hard. In the spring of her 3rd grade year, we asked for a special education assessment. We are concerned with her processing, with her academic progress, and her ability to stay on task. In her evaluation report, the summary indicated that her tests came back mostly in the average range. That she, and I quote, needs to increase her confidence that she can solve problems, is good at schoolwork, and is dependable. The recommendations that we got from the school when she was in 3rd grade is that she does not qualify for special ed. Since she is off task bouncing on her ball chair in class, possibly trying a regular chair on occasion to see if that makes a difference. She needs to use positive self-talk and be told that she is able to do schoolwork, is dependable, and can solve difficult problems herself. As a mom, that's heartbreaking. Fast forward 3 years. My daughter's in the 7th grade and is still struggling with reading. This time we seek outside help and have a pediatric neuropsychologist evaluate our daughter. During this evaluation, we discover that our daughter has dyslexia, dyspraxia, dysgraphia, ADHD, and anxiety. To give you a snapshot of what that looks like, I've pulled out a few of her results from the neuropsych. Her reading comprehension was at a 10th grade level. This was in the fall of her 7th grade. Her word reading, words she could read, were at a mid-3rd grade level. Her pseudo-word decoding, sounding out words, was at a 2nd grade level, but her essay composition, theme development, and text organization was at a late 12th grade level. It was heartbreaking after all those years in elementary school for her to get that diagnosis. A couple things that I said it was a diagnosis of privilege. Just to get the diagnosis, most insurance doesn't pay for it. You have to pay out of pocket. We paid, I think it was about $1,700. Her tutor was $70, well, it's now $70. We paid $60 an hour, and they recommend 2 to 3 times a week. My daughter had the privilege of going to a school out in New York for a 5-week summer program, which came at a very hefty cost. I will say, though, my daughter is in honors English now, but she still struggles. We've been advocating down at the legislature. There have been some laws passed. I'm going to skip through some of this, but what we do know is that with the correct interventions, remediation can work. So we respectfully ask that we continue to work together, that changes that are made or introduced to support struggling readers are multisensory, evidence-based, structured literacy approach that is a way to teach all kids and not just dyslexics. Thank you.
Thank you. Apologies, I should have said we have 4 speakers tonight. Our second speaker is Eric Jensen. And Mr. Jensen, I'll just need you to state your address when you get up to the podium, please. Thank you.
I live in Minneapolis.
Okay.
The full address?
Nah, you're good. You're good. We need that for the record, and you didn't write that down.
Oh,
so.
gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't exactly sure what to put there.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for your time. I appreciate the chance to chat with the board real quick or provide some information. My name is Eric Jensen. I'm a business development manager with Renesola Power, and I wanted to make sure that the board and the school district was aware of the community solar program going on for Excel customers. Simply put, right now we're at a unique position. The program itself simply allows Excel customers to opt into these larger off-site installations, receive credit for that solar generation on their utility bill, and thus receive both the renewable power benefit as well as cost savings as a utility customer from it. We specialize in general service and small general service customers, which the school district would apply to, fall into the categorization of. And right now, I have reached out to some of the folks at the superintendent's office, but I'm hoping to just sort of spread the knowledge because we're at a unique situation with a shift in the Excel program. It is going in the past from what they called an applicable retail rate to a value of solar rate. What this simply means is that instead of taking what would be more of a general average rate for the Excel customer and receiving credit at that, they're going to shift to a more in-depth calculation And the benefit is it's going to track more accurately with the solar as it continues to grow in Minnesota. We are a national leader here in the state. However, it's also likely to reduce the cost benefit to subscribers in the future. So I wanted to emphasize, just let the board know that this option is before. It's currently locational based, so because you're in Washington County, it's available right now. You have to be within a county radius of the garden to participate. And going forward in the next number of months, definitely before the end of the year, that savings, which just for ballparking purposes, I'm working with a smaller one-building private school campus. They're looking at $300,000 to $500,000 in savings over the life of the garden. It potentially would be greater, obviously, for a larger public school with more facilities. And then I just quickly end it with, I have a background in renewables, education, and community engagement. I would also love to sort of transition that initial subscription with the school district to actual education, field trips, and other opportunities to share that new technology, the growing program that Minnesota is a leader in, with generations that will definitely evolve it going forward after that. So I didn't want to take any more time. I don't think it's proper, I don't know, to have back and forth. But if there are questions, I can answer any. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think, we got the information, and I'm sure Superintendent Pontrelli can follow up. Thank you so much for coming.
Perfect,
appreciate it. All righty. Next speaker is Tanya Weigel. Sorry, I hope I have that right.
That's right.
Okay.
Good evening. Tonight I will be very brief. I have an observation to share, I have a question, and I have a proposal/recommendation. My observation is that during open forum, this was just brought up by the last speaker, citizens with diverse perspectives feel strongly enough about issues that they make the effort, sometimes considerable, to attend board meetings and speak in public. My question is, why doesn't the board provide an official response to speakers as part of the standard process of the board? And so my proposal, my recommendation, is that the board should ensure that transparent official responses are provided to each speaker. This could happen either immediately during the board meeting if time allows, or soon after the meeting by posting both the question and the official response on the district website. As kids would say, it's awkward when you stand here and you make the effort, you make the statement, and then nothing. So I understand that there's not time during the board meeting to provide the response right away, but I do feel that an official, transparent response should be provided, and that can happen at a later date on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Our next speaker is our last speaker of the night. Actually, I'm just going to quickly, Superintendent Pontrelli, I think that we have been working on providing a follow-up to that previous speaker. So
when there are questions, from the board.
Okay.
If it's just a comment on something, I haven't followed through, but it might be something that you want to talk about as a board if it's directed to the board. But questions about like our Excel, we followed.
And we did a pilot where we did try to host more conversations.
2.5 years ago, I think, for those of you who are new to the board, we had a trial period where we were trying to find different ways to engage, and we started by having time before the board sessions, and people would sign up, and then we would have the appropriate people there to have a discussion. We had some discussions about music education, and trying to think, it's a while back now, where we did try that format so that we could engage in more discussion.
Okay, so possibly that's something we could reconsider again. All right, thank you so much. Last speaker of the night is Mr. Carl Blondin.
Thank you. Carl Blondin, Sunrise Avenue, Stillwater, Minnesota. Madam Chair, Superintendent Pontrelli, members of the board. At the January 18th, 2018 school board meeting, Andrea McCready, an 834 Voice GPS activist, addressed this board during open forum. As we know, McCready lied in her lawsuit against our school district, falsely claiming that she was a parent of a district student. She has never been a parent of a district student. In her address last month, McCready doubled down on her dishonesty, falsely claiming that public data, which I lawfully received through a proper public data request, was a confidential mediation document. That data is not a confidential mediation document, as McCready falsely claimed. The document I asked for and received was a settlement demand made by 834 Voice and communicated to Independent School District 834. Settlement demands made during mediation may be inadmissible at trial, but they are not confidential. Generally speaking, they may be broadcast to the world. McCready seriously misrepresented the law. The reason that McCready was motivated to misrepresent the law is that I distributed copies of a settlement demand, a document which is very embarrassing for the 834 Voice GPS political machine. Shortly after the January 18th school board meeting, one of McCready's 834 Voice GPS collaborators, Dee Dee Armstrong, posted on social media falsely claiming that a law was broken with the disclosure of the 834 Voice settlement demand. No law was broken. The document is public data. Armstrong intentionally misrepresented the law. 834 Voice has several attorney members, but the group's usual practice is to have a non-attorney member, such as McCready or Armstrong, seriously misstate the law in order to confuse and mislead people while their attorney members remain silent. That tells us much about 834 Voice. 834 Voice President Dr. Zis Weisberg also addressed his school board at its January 18th meeting. Over the last year, Weisberg's false statements about our school district have included: 1, falsely stating that a district employee was present when the money from the last bond sale was dispersed. The employee was not present. No district employee was present. 2, falsely stating that a district employee authorized the dispersal of the money from the last bond sale. Neither that employee nor any other district employee authorized or had anything to do with the dispersal of money from the bond sale. Our school board voted to authorize dispersal of the bond proceeds. Piper Jaffray dispersed the money pursuant to the board's vote. No district employees were involved. 3, falsely claiming that 834 Voice had a document in its possession that proved that a district employee was present at the dispersal of the money from the last bond sale and authorized the dispersal. They have no such document. No such document has ever existed. Weisberg cut that one out of whole cloth. In addition, Weisberg assisted a speaker who made a false and defamatory statement about a district employee at Jennifer Bai's so-called town hall forum. At the January 18th board meeting, Weisberg made false and disparaging comments about Director Paula O'Loughlin in a transparent attempt to draw attention away from the unethical behavior of his political favorites, Directors Potocnik and Stivland. Unethical behavior that is described in detail by attorney Christy Hastings in her report. I urge every voter to read that very expensive report, necessitated by Potocnik and Stivland's intentional misconduct. A report that Potocnik and Stivland, not the taxpayers, should be paying for. Weisberg criticized Director O'Loughlin for statements on her Minnesota legislature campaign Facebook page. Weisberg then stated that things did add up, but he gave no numbers. A standard 834 Voice GPS tactic, an accusation with no factual basis. 834 Voice and GPS have engaged in a relentless disinformation campaign, lying about the facts, misrepresenting the law, and engaging in attempted character assassination. Their words and actions have no place in civil society. This malevolent organization is out to harm our school district. This board must stand up to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the school board and will be enacted by one motion and an affirmative vote by a majority of the board members present. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered a separate subject of discussion by the board. The items tonight are the minutes of January 18th, 2018 school board meeting, disbursement register January 12th to February 1st, 2018, human resources personnel report, field trip for 2 directors, 10 chaperones, and approximately 90 band students to travel to Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, Toronto, Ohio, and Illinois for a summer band concert tour that runs January 5th through the 14th, 2018. Non-Minnesota resident tuition agreement and 2018 pay equity report. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
I'll second. I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye and raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All righty, we are on to reports. We have 2 reports tonight. Looks like both presented by Ms. Salmon. The first report is the 2017-18 Youth Development Plan.
Hello. Vice Chair Pelletier, Superintendent Pontrelli, and school board members. Thank you for this opportunity to share some information about our Youth Development Plan. I think you're probably all familiar with the array of programs that community education provides. I did bring as a little visual our catalog from last spring and summer. This is our youth edition, so it's our youth programming, and as you know, we provide a huge variety of programs. And I'm pretty confident that if I were to ask any of you how you feel about our youth programs, that you would have positive things to say and agree with me when I say that we all believe that informal learning opportunities are an important part of a child's life experience and provides them with opportunities to explore and learn about their passions and areas of interest that hopefully leads to their future careers and experiences for them. Tonight, I have Amy Scari here, who is our youth program supervisor. She manages 2 of our largest youth programs, our Adventure Club program, which is our school-age care before and after school and summer program, in addition to our youth enrichment and youth development program. And we're very fortunate to have Amy. She's been with us since 2006. She does an amazing job, and beyond even the work that she does here in the school district, Amy is actually recognized in the state as somewhat of an expert. She has delivered workshop sessions at state conferences and does legislative advocacy in the area of youth programming. And so we're very fortunate to have a person that is very knowledgeable about the programs and who helps actually throughout the state in delivering and making those programs strong. So Amy is going to share tonight a little bit about our youth development program.
Thank you very much. And thank you for accepting our proposal to come tell you about our youth development plan. As stated in your board packet by state statute, Stillwater Area Public Schools will receive youth service revenue in the amount of $1 per capita, or $63,865 for the 2017-18 school year. The intent of youth service revenue is to implement a youth development plan as part of a district's year-round community education offerings. And Minnesota state statute identifies a youth service program as a program that provides young people with meaningful opportunities to become involved in their community, develop individual capabilities, make career connections, seek support networks and services, become active citizens, and address community needs. You can see that right there. I find it helpful to break down that definition, which is a lot of words, into 5 key areas. And those are service learning, career and college readiness, leadership development, youth enrichment, and youth support networks and services. And if you are familiar with community ed, you probably know we offer a lot of programs and a lot of areas for all ages. And so today I'm going to just tell you specifically about some of the programs in each of these 5 key areas. Whoops, I don't know what I did there. Something. I'm on that one. Service and service learning. We help young people learn about themselves and their community by providing opportunities to engage in service. We offer a couple of opportunities for middle school students each year to engage in service. We have on a non-school day during the school year, we always do a Be the Change Day of Service, as well as service opportunities for middle school students in the summer. Our Adventure Club and SPIN programs also offer summer of service activities and school year service activities. And part of that is our SPIN program goes to the Giving Garden in Lake Elmo every Monday, all summer long, and they work with that program. Community education also utilizes youth volunteers in many of our programs, whether it's helping with special events or volunteering as water safety aides. We try to offer volunteer opportunities that are meaningful for students. Career and college readiness. We help young people more effectively plan for their future by offering opportunities to explore, experience, and investigate occupations and prepare for post-secondary options. Community education has partnered with the high school to offer a STEAM career day for 9th through 12th grade students. We offer this event every 3 years, and it's actually coming up in March, so we're collecting registrations for that right now. It happens during a school day, and we expect around 100 to 150 students to come and learn about careers in science, technology, engineering, art design, and mathematics. Community education also offers ACT and SAT prep classes for students looking to improve their scores as they apply to post-secondary options. Our Robotics Academy summer program is a week-long program where students build a robot and visit Wilson Tool in White Bear Lake to see an example of robotics used in business. These are just some of the programs that really have a career tie-in. But a lot of our programs in enrichment, where kids might be learning about video game design, do have a career tie-in as well. Another note, I didn't include it on the slide because it's not exactly a program, but community ed is actually a first job for a lot of kids in our community. In Adventure Club, we hire high school students as aides. We hire lifeguards as aides. So that's another interesting career tie-in we have with students. Leadership development. We help young people gain leadership skills and learn responsibility by providing practical leadership experiences. Many of our pony sports camps and music opportunities are for elementary age and middle school students. And in many of these camps, high school youth volunteer or are hired on as assistants to help run the camps alongside coaches. Having student athletes or musicians help in camp is a huge benefit to our program, but it also serves as a great leadership opportunity for our students who are the young people helping with the camps. We also have a new partnership with Washington County 4-H that I'm excited about. As part of their Youth Teaching Youth program, this coming summer we'll have some 4-H youth coming to teach some summer enrichment classes to our Adventure Club students. Also, for a couple of years now, Community Ed has been offering Red Cross babysitting courses taught by Community Ed staff. Babysitting is also a first job for a lot of kids, so it could go under career. But I put it under leadership development because a lot of the focus of this course is about being responsible for and to others and really being someone that people can trust. Youth enrichment. We help young people learn new skills, develop talents, and form connections by providing opportunities for them to pursue their interests. Youth enrichment is offered both after school and in the summer for multiple age groups of students in various topic areas. We have classes in music, science, art, technology, theater, and more. And support networks and services. We help young people by providing support during school and life transitions. Each year, Community Education hosts the Friday Night Live event for students who are moving up to the middle school. This is a fun event designed for students to check out the school they'll attend next year. This year, our parent educators, in partnership with Youth Service Bureau, have been creating 2-minute educational videos for parents of middle school-aged children. Community Ed staff have recently designed a Home Alone safety class for students who are 9 to 11 years old, and this course covers basic personal and home safety, phone and internet safety, basic first aid, and what to do in an emergency. I can't wait to sign my own 9-year-old up for this, because he doesn't want to talk to me. but I think he'll listen to a teacher. And then our Summer Breeze program is made up of enrichment classes and field trips for middle school students. And we've really tried to offer some more for middle school students in the summer. We find at that transitional time of middle school, parents are often no longer needing everyday, all-day care for their students, but they still want a robust array of things they can do to keep their kids busy throughout the summer. So some key takeaways for today are, I shared with you about programs that fall under our Youth Development Plan 5 key areas. So I didn't talk about things like sports camps, aquatics, before and after school care, but I do believe that all of our youth programs can be a great vehicle for positive youth development. Community education youth programs are important to our community. We have around 11,000 enrollments in community education youth programs annually. Youth programs offer places where students can build relationships, identify interests, and learn skills. Some of the current key goals we have are leveraging the use of new and improved facilities to offer new types of programming, and programming in new areas of the district. I know I've heard a lot of families really excited that we will be able to have an adventure club site on the south side of the district. There's never been air conditioning on any of our south side schools in the past, so that'll be great this summer, as well as we'll be offering a week of our SLICE enrichment program down at Brookview. So we'll have some more, we'll be able to spread out geographically where we're offering programs, as well as different types of programs with new facilities. We're continuing to address barriers to increase access to all youth programs by offering scholarships, working with Youth Advantage, and examining our program design. And we also want to strengthen relationships with partner organizations who are also championing youth development initiatives. So thank you so much for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Anyone have any questions? Director O'Loughlin?
I just had a couple comments. I believe Director Hepner and Director Nolan and Director Solomon, I think you were there as well at the Valley Outreach meeting. It was a couple weeks ago when the Children's Defense Fund was presenting, and I just want to just say how much I appreciate that goal about removing barriers, because we know there's so many families and children who really can benefit from the amazing programs and offerings that we have, and sometimes whether it's resources or transportation or other barriers that really impede a family's ability to access that. I really appreciate you continuing to have that on the radar and really addressing that. And the other thing I just wanted to say was I see so many great possible intersections between the work that you're doing and the alignment with our future Portrait of a Graduate and the world's best workforce. I think there's just so much overlap there, and the work that is being done with our earliest learners to our other citizens in the community. I think there's just going to be so much potential there. So it's exciting to see. So thank you for your work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? George?
Comment and a question also. You've got a statement here that says one of the goals is to strengthen relationships with partner organizations to enhance programming, and then give some examples. And I think we've heard through think tanks and the thought exchange a number of people saying schools have to realize they can't do it all. And so I think that partnership, and I list 4 of them here, but I'm sure there's many others that are available, but I think using those partner organizations and leaning on them to say we can't do it all. You've got fantastic goals, and the 5 key components are wonderful. But the more organizations we can get to partner with, I think the better it'll be for the kids in District 834. And then my question relates to the ACT and SAT prep courses. You mentioned there are scholarships available for some other. Are there scholarships available for these as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's an easy process. I mean, kids don't have any trouble.
They have to call us, but it's a simple form they fill out. Yeah.
Okay. And that information is made available in the community ed booklet when they're advertised as well. I mean,
yes,
it's one of those things where I would guess it would be hard for some kids to come forward and say,
right,
I'd like to do this, but I need help. And I just think, especially with those ACT and SAT preps,
yep,
we'd be removing a barrier if we could help them get to those classes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a quick comment. I had some questions, but actually in your presentation, you answered all three of my questions, so very nicely done. But my comment is just, thank you so much to both of you for doing such an outstanding job with this program. I've lived in a various number of districts throughout the state of Minnesota and in other states actually too, and this program is phenomenal. And again, I think we should be very proud of the work that you do. And our kids and our families are so, so lucky to have such an incredible program. That one brochure that you held up earlier, I think I told you that was like one of my all-time favorites. Like I read it 3 times. I was like, I want to do this. It's really awesome. So thank you so much for all of your hard work that you put into this. Thank you.
Director Pearson.
Just a quick question with that. When I know lots of people are asking when is the next book coming out?
When is
March 2nd.
March 2nd. So everybody listening,
March 2nd.
For March 2nd.
Check your mailbox.
Yes.
All right, anyone else? Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so the next report tonight is the Pony Activity Center update. Again, Ms. Salmon.
Vice Chair Pelletier, Superintendent Pontrelli, and members of the school board. I'm here to talk with you about the Pony Activity Center, which I know you're all familiar with. You might not be as familiar with the fact that the purpose of community education is to promote the health and well-being of our community. And so when we were given the opportunity to make this facility, this fitness facility, available to our community, of course, we were thrilled. What a great opportunity to help our stakeholders, help our community come in and participate in healthy activities. What we didn't realize at the time and really have since opening had the opportunity to experience is just how much this facility is creating community. The amount of relationships that are either reconnecting, old friends finding each other and saying hello and getting an opportunity to reconnect, or new friendships being made. It's amazing. And what a great thing for our community to bring them together and really have a wonderful place to be physically fit and emotionally fit. So we're thankful for that. And we're also thankful for Jody Lobline-Lecker, who is our coordinator of the Pony Activity Center. In addition to that, Jody also manages our facilities and our adult athletics. So she's a very busy woman. And we are incredibly thankful to have her. She's only been with us for 1.5 years, but she has become invaluable. And I'm sure any of you who have visited the Pony Activity Center have had the opportunity to be greeted by either Jody or Alexa, who we get emails and people stop me and thank me and tell me what wonderful people they are. They always have a smile on their face and they are always kind and welcoming. So we're thankful for that. So Jody is going to provide us with some information about the first semester of our Pony Activity Center.
Thank you. So today we're going to talk about the Pony Activity Center, and with that, September 30th we opened up, so it was about 4 months ago, and given that, we are going to talk about our, here we go, I am very much a piece, say that again? Okay, gotcha, thanks. I like PCs a whole lot better than I do Macs. So with that, we're going to talk about usage of the Pony Activity Center, affordability, and our student use. And given that, just to echo on some of the things that Annette said, it has been really neat to be a part of the opening of this facility. Many community members have come together. It's been great getting to meet many folks and individuals, learning all sorts of things about them, encouraging them to go see the doctor, and reviewing all sorts of things. I have many people who tell me about their health and wellness issues at this point in the Activity Center being open. 2 really good feel-good stories that I'll share. We have mothers or fathers with strollers or grandparents with strollers, and they're walking individually, and now all of a sudden I see them pairing up with other people with strollers because they've made friends while they've been at the PAC and are able to enjoy company with one another. And another one is of a grandchild, who was in the high school, came up and saw their grandparent walking around the track and walked a few laps with them before class began. So really neat environment that's being created there. Commend to all of you for being a part of that. During the school day, we have obviously our students there, and we have one gym that Community Ed has had scheduled programming in. That programming would be aerobic classes, pickleball, or some adult basketball. And we've really had a very blank slate of that programming because we don't really know all that's wanting to be the needs that are met. We do know that pickleball has increased and many people want to play, so we've added hours to that. We do have many different groups using the walking track, as well as intermingling with our regular ed classes and special ed classes, and that's a neat environment to see as well. We have, in your packets, you'll see that you also have the time of the day in which things are open, and our weight room is open till 7:30 a.m. and our cardio room till 9:30, and typically those classes are no longer in there after 12 o'clock, so we do have some community members that would go in there afterwards. In the evening, it has also become a very busy hub of different activities, and parents either participating in the pack during their child's practice or while they're waiting for something. And many people have also sat on the bleachers or in the lobby area working on work and pulling out their computers. So it's been neat to see that as well. With your packets, you'll see that there is a chart of all of our membership and our usage. Currently, we have 1,135 memberships and little over 2,000 members. That's based upon the different types of membership categories that we have. And that number on the blue line is a cumulative number that has increased as each month has gone by. The red line is a list of our daily passes, and that is not cumulative. It's just the number of daily passes that we have sold each month. So in looking at that, as we went through the numbers, we had hoped that 600 mark of memberships is what we're able to maintain through the duration of the school year. We are over that right now because it's cold outside, and we'll see what happens once it's no longer as nice and less people are wanting to walk inside. The next sheet is a list of our membership categories. And this top sliver of blue, which is at the, hoping that this works, right here, this is our non-resident category. We have 40 non-residents. That's about 3% of our total. The rest of them are district residents who are participating in the Pony Activity Center. And in looking at it, it is a diverse group of people in terms of the different types of memberships that we have. The small sliver at the top is the track-only family membership. Whereas our largest group is the track-only adult with 273 memberships, and that's taking up 23% of our members. We have, as we were planning with the Pony Activity Center, we really wanted to make it an affordable opportunity for all of our district residents to engage in. And we feel that with having no initiation fee and no cancellation fees and multiple options of 30, 60, or 90-day memberships, that has been true. The other thing that we started up in December is that we added Youth Advantage as a partner to helping with students who may have free or reduced lunch. They have reduced fees in that if a student who's on free lunch would pay $5 for 3 months and visit, a requirement is that they're visiting 2 times per week, or reduced lunch for 3 months, it's $15. So that was developed, like I said, in December. And then in order to account for people to receive health care reimbursements, we've worked with a third-party vendor called National Independent Health Club Associations, and they help us get reimbursement through Blue Cross Blue Shield, Health Partners, UCare, and Sanford, and that has been ongoing since we started. I would say that this past month, which is December because our January totals are due here tomorrow, we've been able to submit for about 66, that was our highest total of healthcare reimbursements. So that means essentially the people who are paying $20 a month essentially are paying nothing at all if they're getting the reimbursement with their healthcare insurance. The other thing that we added in December was Silver and Fit, and those numbers have continued to increase. We were able to get Silver sneakers as part of our other supplemental health care, and that just started up in January, so we're seeing those numbers increase as well. We realize that student supervision is necessary to maintain safety. There are a variety of ways in which student groups are using the PAC and are being supervised. We've tried to provide clarity in developing our student use guidelines for groups that are using the PAC. So with that, our student use guidelines is that students are in season, they're with a coach or at their practice during their game. Obviously, those students are all being supervised by their coach, and they use the Pony Activity Center for free during their allotted practice or game times. If they are out of season, they have to have an approved out-of-season activity that would have and entail adult supervision that would follow underneath this Minnesota State High School League guidelines for supervision. Any student who's involved in Pony Power and Performance or some other similar training would have the adult supervision providing safety that working within their group. And then any student who's making up a PE credit, their teacher would follow along with them to be with them after school for supervision. So I share that with you because these are the guidelines that we're following for any student that is not part of a program. And if they're not part of one of those programs, then they would have to pay the Pony Activity Center fee, which is $10 a month if they don't qualify for a program that Youth Advantage would help with. We feel that safety and the proper use of equipment is an important feature of protecting the safety of the user and the liability of the district. There are a fraction of students that are not part of those school-sponsored activities, and we need to have adult supervision working with those different students and watching the spaces that they are participating in. So we supervise anyone that that is not part of the school-sponsored activity and has a PAC membership. And obviously, those people that may not have a PAC membership, while they're in there, we would supervise them or encourage them to get a membership. So those are the different pieces to our student use guidelines. In conclusion to this presentation, I'd like to just share that the facility has brought the community together in ways that have been very positive. With that, our wellness and affordable options have provided those opportunities for the different individuals participating at the PAC. And we've expanded a lot of opportunities for many of our youth groups that are involved with programming through community ed. Many of our youth associations practicing in the evenings or on the weekends where they're hosting tournaments, as well as providing what I think is a great place for kids to hang out. They're there on Friday nights, they're there on the weekends, and those are places that the school wasn't open for them to use in a capacity to which they were engaging in and participating outside of being on a team. So that's been really positive. Thank you if you have any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Any questions? Director Stivlin, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. That was very helpful and very informative. You kind of touched on this a little bit. So I was wondering what types of contracts you have for the memberships. And you said there's 3-month, 6-month, and 9-month?
Nope, we have
or something?
30-day, 60-day, and 90-day
okay.
For you to pay up front. Otherwise, you can have monthly reoccurring taken out of ACH or credit card.
Okay, so a person could do like an annual ongoing membership.
We do not have an annual full 12-month membership.
Okay.
We have really left it at this 30, 60, and 90-day because we've only experienced it 4 months. We don't know how many people are going to have a full annual membership, and we don't want to get in the business of doing refunds with credit cards, and we just would like to keep it simple as we're starting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there is an ongoing option, as you alluded to, that if someone were to provide a credit card or their ACH information, it could be ongoing indefinitely until they ask us to stop charging them.
Right, right. Let's see. I think you answered my other question. Oh, so for the free and reduced lunch, is that something that's really complicated for someone? If someone qualified to get that lower price, is there some sensitivity there? Is it embarrassing or?
They would have, anybody who would qualify for that would go through Youth Advantage. And that is the same program that students who might need it for activity fees or other programs, that is how they would go through
So if there's somebody out there who wants to be a member of the PAC and they don't feel that they can afford it, they think they would qualify for that, they should contact Youth Advantage for some support in doing that. Is that right?
Yes, and if I am able to help assist that student by directing and giving emails or phone numbers or directions on how to get to Youth Advantage, that's how I can support that.
if they asked you directly, that's what you would do.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. That's great. That's good to know.
All right, anyone else? George?
I just, you didn't mention it, but I want to thank the Phi Ed teachers. I know in the morning when I'm up there usually walking and they're starting their classes, they're anywhere from, 10 to 30 people walking around watching them conduct their classes. And I wonder how many classroom teachers would like to have a constant group of 30 people walking through watching them do their class. So I think it's at a point now where they kind of ignore all the walkers who are up there, but I'm sure it's at least initially a little bit of an intrusion for them, and it doesn't really seem to make any difference. They go ahead with their classes. But I did want to thank them because I suspect it's a little bit, even if they don't act that way, it is a little bit of an intrusion for them.
They have done a great job.
Yep.
And I have really worked hard with our pickleball players, more importantly, because they're right on the gym floor, helping them understand that this is their classroom and this is their space, and we are very fortunate to be able to use that Court 8 during that time period, and we want to make sure that this continues as a very positive relationship.
Good.
Director Pearson.
I would just comment that we see the numbers, but I think until you're there, you have no idea. It is craziness up there sometimes. Very busy in every space being used sometimes. So, and I appreciate it when my daughter's in gymnastics that I don't have to just sit, that there is something that I can do to be active. So good job on all of that. It's a good thing.
Thank you. Director O'Loughlin.
So may I just clarify, I know there had been some conversation, I know you alluded to it earlier, just in terms of the student accessibility, either after school, but if they're not in a sanctioned, school-sponsored event, that really is about safety, it's about liability, and it's making sure, first and foremost, that, our students are safe, and so that was I hearing that correctly?
Yes,
Okay.
just for the, particularly the safety of the user, whether that be a student or an adult. We have PAC supervision working in those areas, and as well for the liability of the district. We have to provide supervision of the people that are in that space.
Right. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
All right, anyone else? I just have a comment, and I'll ask a question, and I'll say the comment first. I hear nothing but positive things about the PAC, and you guys are doing just a wonderful job, and I feel like it's just going to grow exponentially, and it's a great thing for the community. The one kind of question I had was, I do know, I've heard, because I have high school aged kids, that sometimes kids will show up and want to use it and they don't have money for that day pass, and I hate to hear that, they want to come and get off the computer games and come and work out, and, that's what it's all about. So for me, I guess how are we, could you speak a little bit to how the communication is going out for students, and how much is a day pass for a kid who is in high school and who is not in a sport or another kind of activity, that wants to get there and just work out and be part of it?
Yeah. We opened up the facility September 30th, and with that, we were right in the middle or towards the end of our fall sports season. And with the end of the fall sports season, about middle of October really coming to an end, and then most of the ninth graders no longer being in sports, and with basketball and hockey starting up early November, during that whole time period, we were very lenient and used that as an education period. And we still are using this period as an education period to help the students understand that this is a space that will need to have a Pony Activity membership. My staff that works upstairs, as well as myself, we both spend ample amounts of time in those two different areas working with kids and helping to educate the students what the policies are and how they will be enforced. If a student doesn't have $3 to pay for a daily pass, we have let them in more than multiple occasions. But if they are continuing to say the same thing, then that's when, at that point, we really have to put our feet down and say, we've communicated this to you multiple times. We do have a sheet of paper that we've handed out to the students. I've also communicated that with the coaches and asked the coaches to share that at their parent-athlete meetings in the fall, that this is how we were going to proceed through the Pony Activity Center. And it's a continuing work in progress. And I do feel that we are at the point where we are saying to students, hey, you've been here and you know what's going on. We've seen kids take bracelets and share other bracelets with other kids. We've asked them to check in. And so we're becoming more terse on what the kids are doing to try and get through that. But I feel that we've been very lenient in working with our students because we want them to be there and we don't want it to be a prohibitive factor for them.
Right. Thank you. So those kids, I tell you. Thank you, Director Pearson.
Just along with that, what would be the implications if we were to offer a free membership to high school students? Do you just feel like that would be overwhelming, or what would be some of the things that would come up with that?
I have a few things on my mind, but you can.
I was just going to say that ultimately, when the facility was built, that the funds from the bond did pay for the actual facility, and we were fortunate that we had a lot of donations for the equipment, and we had existing equipment. But what was not factored in there was the functionalization of that facility, which required people in order to maintain the safety. And that's where the cost is coming in, and that ultimately then by charging, we're able to recoup some of the expense of providing the individuals that are there to supervise that space.
The other thing I would say is, as I mentioned, we've been very lenient, and during that time period between opening September 30th to the start really of the winter sports season, we had a lot of different open basketball times, because that's real common in high schools where you have that. And we would have 2 to 3 courts, and we would have a lot of kids in that area. During that time, we had one adult supervisor that really wasn't a PAC supervisor because it was an open basketball captain's practice type event. And we need to staff that more because we need to have someone in each court if there's more than 20 to 30 kids on one court. That's great that they're in there. It's great that they're spending time in there, but we also need to be prepared if something happens that would be negative in that space if somebody got injured or somebody did something that they shouldn't do. You'll also see currently Tuesdays and Fridays are game nights. And since it's game nights, basketball team doesn't have practice. And the kids know that that's a real popular time. The PAC members know that they can come in and play basketball. So we have a lot of kids playing, and we have a lot of kids watching. And I get to spend a lot of time in the gym working with those kids and dealing with them. And we've created a positive relationship, sometimes with humor associated to it. But we have to also know that if we have everyone in our very large high school having access to that, we have to prepare to have supervision for it.
Okay. Can I just ask a follow-up question to that?
Director Sibling, go ahead.
Thank you.
That's okay.
So if a student was signed up for Pony Power and Performance, isn't that something that goes year-round, pretty much?
Pony Power and Performance has 2 different periods during which they pay to get trained by trainers that we have in the high school. During the summer, it's June and July, and then during the winter, it runs from December till March. But the other time periods, we don't have that, and that's something that both Ricky Michaels and I have been talking about, that programming and how that will exist with the new facility and new operations.
Right, because I was just thinking, I wonder if there wouldn't be some way you could come up with that structured environment where you have the supervised, a person who knows they're supervising, and a number of students at a certain time, or something, some way of kind of coordinating it so that the space would be available and that they are being monitored, but it doesn't necessarily cost, the full amount or something. I don't know how that could be done, but, to make that available to students so they have that monitoring, I think that might be good to explore going forward. I agree. We have a lot of students, and I think if it was just a free thing, maybe it might be just overwhelmed with too many kids, right? Or is that a problem? Is that a concern?
It could be certainly a concern. The other thing I would say is that the operation of the Pony Activity Center is not what it may have been before. We're open till 9:30 at night. We're open on the weekends 7 to 7. And so those are all new times that the facility is open that are available to community members and students. So we have to identify what investment it would take to staff that appropriately and how long the students would have access to those spaces, if it's a regulated time or the entire time.
Yeah. Anyway. Great.
All right, Director Potacek.
First of all, thank you for coming. I think for a lot of people who had questions, and the basic question is, how's it going? And I think you've done an excellent job in describing that and sharing it with this group. Also, I think tonight should be, and I think is, kind of a plug to others who haven't, to come on out and try it. And I think that will contribute to it. And so I think that's wonderful. I realize also you're still kind of in your infant level here. But one of the things that you touched on, and I think that's important, is, and I don't want that tonight, but as you look to the future, and I'm sure you'll come back and let us know how it's going perhaps in a couple months from now, is that equation. In other words, in providing the safety, the supervision, and the necessary just clerks to record all of this, there's a cost. And the fees help offset that cost. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, realizing it's still new territory, I'd like to see, and I think other board members will too, how that compares and how it's grown.
Yes. One thing that as budgeting is coming up, and Annette and I have been working and talking about those different plans over the winter break, just from after Christmas to before New Year's, we had over 300 daily passes sold. I took 3 days off, but I didn't really take 3 days off. We needed to have more staff there to help with all the people that were coming in. One thing that will hopefully be saving grace is that the second time a person comes in, they'll already be in the system. We won't have to run their driver's license through, and we'll have had those time-consuming activities by my staff be easier after some more months under our belts. But it was great to see many of the graduates come back home and feel really excited to reconnect and be with their former classmates and use the space, and then complain how they wish they would have had it when they were here.
But kudos.
Thank you.
I believe you're doing an outstanding job, so thank you.
Thank Director O'Loughlin?
Sorry, I forgot to ask one question. Have you, and maybe this is a question for Athletic Director Michael, in terms of just the inquiries or maybe some of the interest in being able to rent out the space and the facilities. I know that was something that we had talked about in the development of the bond, that there perhaps might be a lot of outside interest.
There has been. I guess I would say, first off, we've had the youth tournaments that took place in December. We had 3 different youth tournaments. Then in January, we had our wrestling tournament in the gyms 1 through 4, and then we had a Special Olympics poly floor hockey. And so that was a rental coinciding with an activities. And it was great to see, it was an adult Special Olympics event, those 4 gyms with floor hockey. And then we had the members up walking above, and concessions was going on in the cafeteria. So the wrestling team benefited from the extra tournament that was taking place there. And I work with a number of the different renters for different dates, and we have taken that approach and have had people come in as we've received requests for different items. As more people have seen the facility, they have seen the potential of that space as well. But we also have a very robust athletic program and different tournaments of their own that they're hosting and taking place. So we have to find a happy balance. Mm-hmm. And one of the complaints that I would say I've most heard of is that there's just not enough time for us to be in the gyms. Mm-hmm. Because of the large youth associations that are renting, and they're all of our local kids. Mm-hmm. But there's not as much family time per se to come and enjoy the space.
Interesting.
If I may,
Director Potacek.
One quick follow-up. I was there. Actually, I went to see the wrestling tournament, but you couldn't help as you went through past the Special Olympics. Before the facility that we have now, mm-hmm. could you still have hosted the Special Olympics hockey?
Not in the same capacity or for the same duration, because we didn't ever have enough space to allow for the high school teams to have practice, and as well for the programs to do 2-day tournaments. Maybe you could do it on a 1 day, but then it was just really hard to fit everything in together with all the different entities and groups wanting to have access to it. So,
See, and I think that's a very, very powerful result, because I walked through that area. There were a large number of participants, and there was even a larger number of people who came to assist and get involved with that program. So, I mean, that adds a whole new dimension.
Yeah, I mean, it really exemplified community. That was a very, very amazing weekend. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought so as well. Thank you.
Anyone, I feel that we're, many of us on the board are just very happy with the presentation, and I think a few topics have come up that I would love. I don't know that we need a formal motion with that, but just to see maybe another update of some capacity along, say after the summer or something like that, just so we can kind of keep abreast of the how it's going and how it's changed over the summer, and the fee structure, family time. You hit upon a lot of great issues. So, and if you can change the Silver Sneakers name, that would be for my mother. She's really offended by that. She thinks she's way cooler than Silver Sneakers. So if you can work on that,
fluorescent sneakers.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You're going to have to talk to the insurance company.
Yeah, I know, it is the insurance company.
It only took about 12 months for somebody to give me a call back. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Top
Thank
priority.
you so very much. Most
Thank you.
appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
All right.
You had to get that in.
Yes, I did. All righty, so we have one action item tonight, and that is 2018 school board goals. And I did prepare something in Board Chair Lehman's absence and subsequently forgot it. So I did want to say that we have really had a lot of meetings to establish these goals, and what I had written down that I forgot was I just wanted to, quite honestly, personally thank both Mary Ciccone for leading us through this, and even more so than that, my colleagues here on the board to the left and right of me. I'm so impressed with how every single one of you really paid close attention to these goals and took it seriously, and I just want to commend the entire board for that, because every single person, every one of us put their stamp on it. So I'm pretty proud of that, and I just wanted to say that. So I don't know that we need to read through them. We've seen them quite a few times, but I would entertain a motion to pass in a second if that is of interest.
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those.
I
Yeah,
just
go
have a
ahead,
question.
please. Yeah.
Are we gonna, once we vote on these, will they be instantaneously, like for our next meeting? That's what we're gonna do instead of the ones we did?
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes, it is.
That work is finally paying off. Okay.
Really. All right. Yes, Director Loughlin.
I just wanted to echo your comments, Director Pelletier, about the collaborative efforts of the board. I think that just some really good conversations that evolved, and also to thank our facilitator, Mary Ciccone, who really helped us through this process and I think yielded a very strong result, and just really proud to be able to start implementing these as soon as possible.
Well, thank you. All right, so we can call the vote here. All those in favor, raise your hand and signify saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Six. Yeah. Six.
With us in spirit.
All right, thank you. So we are on to board member reports, and I do have a report that was written by Board Chair Lehman. Okay, so we had 3 learning sessions following last month's board meeting. One session was on the topic of changing school start times. Excellent session by all those in attendance. Looking forward to continuing the dialogue with the community. The second learning session was finalizing our board goals, and the third was about continuing the work around our strategic plan and the world's best workforce. I also attended the Partnership Plan board meeting. we heard from 2 teachers at Lily Lake who presented on a kindness project that they were able to put on through a partnership grant. Also had a wrap up the Da Vinci Fest. Once again, it was a very successful event. Finally, mark your calendars for April 20th. The partnership party will be at the JX Event Center in Stillwater. All right, so any want to start? Board member reports, anyone want to start?
I'll start down here. I don't have anything, so.
Okay, great.
That's easy.
I've got one thing. Paula mentioned this earlier, and I would just like to take a couple minutes to talk about it. January 24th, Valley Outreach, in conjunction with the Children's Defense Fund of Minnesota, hosted the local release of Minnesota Kids Count 2017. It's a national and state-by-state effort to track the status of children in the United States. Kids Count seeks to enrich local discussions concerning ways to secure better futures for all children. About 50 citizens representing numerous nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and numerous other Washington County organizations put aside their personal agendas to advocate for those who too often don't have a spokesperson. From District 834, Paul and myself, Annette Salman, and George Nolan were present. The goals of the Children's Defense Fund, there are 4 of them. All children live in economically stable households. All children have access to health coverage and care. All children have high-quality early childhood and K-12 educational experiences. And all children live in safe homes and communities. In order to work toward these goals, three tangible steps are needed. Number 1, there needs to be access to affordable housing. Number 2, there needs to be an increase in wages, including the minimum wage. And 3, there needs to be an availability of jobs with sick leave benefits. And there was a little time spent just talking about Washington County, and there were 2 statements and a question. One of the statements was Washington County has the highest median rent in the state of Minnesota. And some folks there wondered why that was so. And secondly, using 2015 data, the median household income in Minnesota was $63,459. In Washington County, the median household income was $88,329, nearly $25,000 per household higher. And the question asked was, shouldn't we be able to provide all children in Washington County with stability, access to health care, quality education, and a safe community? And I was, I learned a lot from the folks who were at that meeting. First of all, I didn't realize there were that many different nonprofits, faith-based organizations working on homelessness and poverty in Washington County. It was very enlightening to listen to them offer their opinions. And I think the question for board members and for boards of all those groups is a good one. Shouldn't we be able to provide for all children in Washington County? That's all I've got.
Thank you.
I have nothing.
I have nothing other than the 3. I hope I have all of us. Director Pearson, Director O'Loughlin, and I think we represented quite well at the music festival that we heard about tonight. And if there's anyone, and George Hepner, apologies. And again, it was just a wonderful experience for the community. We really made Stillwater proud, and we did a good job. So again, it was just a great event. So that's all I have. Thank you, Dr. O'Loughlin.
Let's see. As Superintendent Pontrelli mentioned earlier, several of us were at the recent AMSD meeting, the Association of Metropolitan School Districts, and there are a number of elected officials there, state and local officials, but mainly legislators, both senators and House representatives, and just gave a preview of what is ahead and the impact to the public schools. So I'm not sure who our legislative committee members are, but I think there'll be, even though it's a non-funding year, I think there's still going to be some important critical bills on the horizon that we should be making sure that we're tracking and knowing the full scope of the impact on our district. And then the other thing I was just going to mention, I happened to go to, it was a fundraiser slash awareness meeting. It was presented by CAST, which is an acronym for Citizens Against Sex Trafficking. And they are an auxiliary to the East Metro Human Trafficking Task Force. And Pete Orput was there, as well as John Choi, and just talking about the increase in the trafficking of our youth here in Washington County. And so they were really trying to communicate to all organizations, particularly schools and other organizations that primarily deal with youth, just bringing awareness and shining a light on this growing issue in Washington County. And I think that it's one of those things that the public may not know to the degree to which this is unfortunately increasing in our backyard here, but just I think that's something as we continue to, like George alluded to, partner with other organizations, making sure that we're protecting our youth. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
916 met last night, and for viewers or audience members who don't know, 916 is a collaborative of 14 school districts. It's Northeast Metro Intermediate School District, and they met last night. And just a couple key points I want to share with you, and then I want to read a short section because I know some of you are interested, keenly interested in mental health funding. But first of all, I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but February is CTE month, and that stands for Career and Technical Education. And so during our open forum, we had 3 students who came in and talked about their various programs. And so that's always a reminder that, yep, they too are on this block and part of our education system. Then secondly, and very, very relevant, is we are not 916 the only intermediate school district. There are 3 others particularly, and they got together with our superintendent, who is Connie Hayes, and they also came up with a legislative priorities. And each of you, and when I say each of you, board members, but any non-board members who are interested, want to see that, let me know. We'll get one of these sheets, and it's on their legislative priorities. And number 1, and it addresses what I referenced in the mental health funding. First of all, there are something like 125,000 students in Minnesota who are receiving special education services. And at the intermediate level are pretty much on the front lines of children's mental health. That's where a lot of students who carry very, very severe issues end up. And particularly the intermediate school districts and other cooperative units have become really the main educational provider for these students that require specialized services. And we spent a lot of time hearing from professionals last night, and it's very difficult, and the lines are pretty blurred between services that are provided for education and health services. And that's really, in many ways, has become an overlap and a challenge. And again, the intermediates are taking that challenge, but it's complex. Recently, funding has been provided in the form of one-time grants. And one of those, $4.9 million, was for mental health innovation grants. And then a second key grant was for $4.5 million for mental health crises training for professionals who deal with this on a daily basis. Now, having said that, the concern of the intermediates is they need to provide necessary mental health services on an ongoing basis. So the grants were wonderful, and we're very thankful to our legislature and the governors for providing that. But one of their priorities for this year is we are proposing legislation to allow the intermediate school districts and other cooperative units to access a mental health levy of $20 times the adjusted pupil units of the member districts. So I'm saying that's their top priority. Then secondly, and I'll probably just kind of segue into that, AMSD had a wonderful presentation put on by about 5 or 6 superintendents who were there to tell all those in attendance what the needs were. And then as Paula alluded to, there were also panels of legislators who reacted to what they heard and what will take place. For those of you who don't know, February 20th is a key date. That's when the legislature goes back into session. So lots going on there. There is a C meeting tomorrow morning, and I expect some similar priorities to be presented there as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that. All right, we are on to working group reports. Anyone have anything to say early?
Policy is going to meet February 23rd, the afternoon. Try to continue the work of the infamous Dream Team.
First job is going to be come up with a new name for the new team that's even
so.
better than the Dream Team.
Maybe. We'll have to see about. Well, Director Hepner, you stole my thunder, but I was going to say that there's a new sheriff in town when it comes to Dream Teams, and that is the community engagement team. And we are meeting, I'm very excited about this, with Director Pearson and Director Potacek. And we have our first meeting next Wednesday, and I think we're all very excited about the things we're going to do. It's going to be really fun.
And Carissa.
And Carissa as well. Mm-hmm. Really good. All right, anyone else? All right, well, with that, I would like to entertain a motion and a second for adjournment.
So moved. I'll second.
All righty. All those in favor, say aye and raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, we did it. Thank you
No
so much.
nays.
Yeah, all right.